Hello, everyone, in Dr. Dave Moore's International Studies class, Southeast Asia. My name is Mark Myers. I'm writing my paper on Islam and Malaysia and just how Islam has become such an integral part of the identity of the Malay people and how it affects the identities of the other Malaysian citizens, namely the Chinese and the Indians. So just a quick summary, basically. The people living on the Malay Peninsula long ago had animistic beliefs, like similar to all the other people in the area. And then Hinduism and Buddhism was introduced first by Indians, and then around the 13th century, Islam got introduced by way of trade, by Arab traders coming from the north and by seafaring traders coming from India. Important characteristic and fact and observation is that Islam was not foisted upon the Malay people. They took a liking to it of their own accord. That's very important to know. They were not conquered by Muslim conquerors. So they chose it themselves. And as time progressed, the Portuguese came into the country in the 1500s, and they were soon followed by the Dutch, and then eventually the British came in, and they really settled down there. They didn't officially colonize Malaya, the region we now know as Malaysia today, but they had a profound influence on them. And but as Dr. Moore noted in one of his lectures, the British weren't out to coerce anyone religiously. They were just there for economic reasons, and because of this, they hired a lot of Chinese immigrants to come down and work the fields, the rubber plantations, the rubber forests, and the tin industry. And I guess they didn't feel the Malay people were very good workers, so they hired all these Chinese people, brought them down there, and a lot of Indian workers as well. So all of a sudden, what ended up happening was in the late 19th century, there was an influx of Chinese people and Indians, and the Malay people were becoming the minority, and they asked England's help. They asked the British, "You got to help us out. This isn't fair." And the British put a lot of stuff in play. And anyways, I digress. The point is that the Chinese were not Muslim for the most part, and most of the Indians were not either. They were all Buddhists and Hindus. So the religion of Islam is what distinguished the Malay people from the foreigners, and they really attached themselves to this religion, and it's become a part of their identity as a people today. Now, you can be a Malaysian citizen, a citizen of the country of Malaysia, and you don't have to be Muslim, but if you want to consider yourself a Malay, you do have to be a Muslim. And the reason you would want to do so, I got some facts here. So I quote, by constitutional definition, Malays are Muslims who practice Malay customs, adat, as we read about in Shamsul's piece, and the culture. So technically, a Muslim of any race who participates in Malay customs and culture can be considered a Malay and get the Bumi Putera rights stipulated in the Constitution. So if you can get the Bumi Putera rights, you will have an easier time in Malaysia. Similar to, they have a lot of scholarships and special rights because they're the official native people of the area. So it's confusing, and I'm still working on it. I'm still getting to the root of it all, but point is, one of the main points I found interesting is that they all get along for the most part. There were some race riots in 1969, and that really put a stop on things. And that was then there was a big surge of Islamization in the 1980s and 1990s, and the Malaysian, the Malay people really clinged on to this Islamic identity. It's a huge part of who they are. And while it's not an Islamic state like Saudi Arabia and some other Muslim countries, it's tolerant of other religions. But if you are Malay and you claim to be Muslim, then you do have to follow the Sharia law. And I think Shamsul mentioned in his article, if you're breaking your fast during Ramadan, you will be punished by law. So, anything else? There's a lot. Thanks for listening, and I hope this finds you well. And if there's any tips or info anyone wants to give me, I'm open to it. And thanks for your time. Bye.